Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Aotearoa Whiskey Club's Whiskey 101 section. Now today we're going to talk about, we'll call it from the fields to the glass. So what that means is actually how is this stuff made. So since it's made a little bit different in America, a little bit different in Ireland, a little bit different in Scotland, since Scotch is kind of the basis of how it's all made is in the rest of the world, you know, from Japan to Taiwan, double distilled and such. So we're kind of going to focus on how it's made there, more or less. I can get into bourbons and such a bit later on, but for now we're going to focus on double distilling in Scotland. So you'll start with this malted barley from the field. Once you get your malted barley, you're going to run that through a grist mill, and it's going to give you this nice crushed up bit like this. That's going to go into your big cooker, your mash tun there, and what's going to happen there is you're going to drip some boiling water in there, cook it for all intents and purposes. Once you've cooked that, you'll run off the water, the liquid bit. Now keep in mind there's no alcohol involved yet. You're going to run that off to the fermentation tanks. The fermentation tanks, that's where your magic begins to happen. So that's where you're going to introduce the yeast in those fermentation tanks. Now if you've done your job properly, typically after, let's say, 72 hours, give or take, every distiller is a little bit different, but let's just say 72 hours, give or take, you should come out with basically craft beer at that stage, around 7.5, maybe 8% of alcohol, which is basically a heavy-duty craft beer, and it'll taste like that. You can actually drink it, taste a little bit about, like a craft beer. From there, that's when it changes from craft beer into whiskey. You're going to run that into your stills, and like I say, in Scotland, you're double distilling, so you're going to run through those big, beautiful copper pot stills, not once but twice. You'll put it in the first larger still, the low wine still, and again, if you've kind of done things properly, it's going to come off around the high 20%, 26, 27, 28% alcohol before it goes into the spirit still. That is when it starts, a master distiller really earning his keep there, because when it starts coming off the main still there, coming down into your spirit safe, you have your little hydrometers in, measuring the alcohol, and it'll start coming off as methanol. It can come off 85, 90%. Well, that's going to kill you, so you don't want that. That's your head, so you're going to cut that aside. You're going to get those cuts down around, typically, let's say you'll take it down to 72% alcohol. It'll drop down to about 58% of the alcohol, and that's going to be your heart of your spirit. This heart of your spirit from 58% to 72%, and again, every master distiller is different. I'm just giving you rough guidelines, but basically this is what you're looking for. The heart of the spirit, that's what goes over in the catchment that's going to go in these barrels to mature, that's going to become whiskey in your glass in 8, 10, 12, 15 years or such. Then you're going to have, when it drops down below the 58%, that's your tails. Well, don't worry, that stuff gets reused. When the next flow comes through, you're going to add those tails and heads together. They're going to go through another process, so eventually one of two things will happen. It winds up as a heart of the spirit, or it winds up just evaporating and it's gone. So that process will continue, and you're never left with anything. So that's the beautiful thing about this industry. We're 100% organic, give or take, so we get to reuse everything, from the wood to the spirit to all of it. But that's basically it. That's a rough guideline from the fields, the malted barley, into your glass. So enjoy that. And again, I'm reminding you guys, send us some questions, send us some Whiskey 101s that you'd like to see. Until that time, I'm Sam. Ciao.